Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Real Thoughts with Bob Benham. I am your host, Bob Benham. Imagine that. And it's time for a new episode. And it's been a while, as usual. Uh, things just don't agree with me here lately. Every time I want to get busy and sit down and do one of these, it appears something always comes up, or I get my head going someplace else, and I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's just one of those things that I just need to get my head pulled out of a certain place and just sit down and get going and doing this. Anyway, Uh, things that I want to talk about. My goodness. Um, I love this hands off Democrat rally, protest, whatever you want to call it, garbage, and this Tesla stuff that the Democrats are doing. All I can say about it is that's all they've got. That's all they've got. Um, they have zero solutions for anything. And if you go back, what was back to the first Trump term, um, that's all they had back then was just a protest and set things on fire and create as much violence as possible and just make life miserable for everybody, blocking roads and whatever. um you know it is incredibly um childish what they do. I mean, they're just, all they're doing is throwing temper tantrums uh, of about stuff, and it's about dumb stuff. This is about a guy that's finding waste, fraud, abuse, corruption, uh, you name it, within our government. And they're protesting that. They are trying to ruin this man because of that. Now, why would you tear up vehicles built by this man's company? Why would you tear up dealerships that this man owns or other people own and to sell his cars to when he's doing something good? Something good. He's not harming anything. It, it literally makes zero sense. And what he's doing makes perfect common sense. And then here we go with, the Trump hands off my Social Security, hands off my blah, 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 hands off blah, 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 this, that, whatever. Um, he's the executive branch of the United States government. It's his job to make sure that what is going on in our government is going on in the best and most efficient way possible. And unfortunately, nothing in our government is going on in the most efficient way possible. Nothing. Because all that's happened since, well, for years is the constant enlargement of the bureaucracy by the Democrats. All they've done is turn around and, oh, we need to add more people here because this is such a big issue that we need to deal with. We need to add a Department of Education so they can handle all the issues of educating our children, although they have nothing to do with educating our children. And they spend billions of dollars on what? Because you turn around and you look at local elections and you're always seeing all these local school districts asking for more money on tax levies at election time. So they're asking for more money to educate students. And then you have the federal government through this Department of Education with all these billions of dollars. And where's the money going? How is it possible that, it makes zero sense. And then for us to have our children ranking at the bottom of the barrel in education. The absolute bottom of the barrel. You look, excuse me, you look at doctors and a lot of other positions of people where people are needed, where they're highly educated. And they're not American. They're not it used to be a lot of them were white. And I'm not trying to make this a racial thing at all. This is just observation, okay? This is the way it used to be. Okay? I'm not saying this is bad that this is happening. Okay? I'm fine with it. I don't care. They're the ones getting the education. They're the ones smart enough to do it. No problem there whatsoever. Knock your socks off doing it. You're the one who wants to do it. You're the one that wants to that's dedicated enough to work your tail off to get that education, to become a doctor, to become an engineer, to become an aeronautical engineer so you can fly in space. Have at it. I'm happy for you that you're doing it. I'm happy for you that you can make the money to do that. Knock your socks off. Okay? It's just surprising that the United States as a nation has lost its way so bad that we can't educate our children at all. At all. They can't even read, write. They can't do arithmetic. And then when you go and see how these kids are doing those types of activity, reading, I mean, reading's reading. But when it comes to like, or watching them do arithmetic or math or whatever you want to call it, they have this. I can't remember what they call it now. Oh God, what is it called? Yeah, whatever it is. It This type of math that they're doing is absolutely insane. I don't know who came up with it or why it even ended up in our schools. It is absolutely I I can't even come up with a name for it. I can't even come up with a name to say how stupid and bad it is. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense whatsoever. No wonder why these kids can't make change. It, I, you know, wow. That's all I can say. Wow. Um, I just, I try hard. I try hard to figure out these changes that happen, and try to read into the logic behind the changes, and to understand it, and to make sense of it, and to understand where its place is in society today. And unfortunately, a lot of it just doesn't make any sense. Why do we need that change? It doesn't really matter. Most of what we had back when I was growing up, they could have easily just continued, and I think we would have been much better off today, because for for somebody that did not, I mean, I hardly paid attention in school. I didn't really care what the hell they were saying and teaching. I just, I, I literally did the bare minimum to get through school, and I ended up just, I mean, okay, I had what I think an upper C, low B average to get through. I mean, it, that was about it. I mean, I didn't. It just didn't matter to me because I was bored. I was bored with school. School was, oh, forget it. And but at the same time, to realize now how much of it I actually walked away with, and how much of it I retained without even realizing it um, is pretty incredible. Because I honestly didn't believe that I retained anything from school uh, because I didn't pay attention. I just really didn't pay attention. Um, I just had no interest in what was going on. But uh, the like I was saying, today's kids are not getting an education. They're not being taught uh, any kind of history. They're not being taught um, any writing skills whatsoever. I mean, they have to try to watch them write a story um, or write um, a letter um, or anything like that. They struggle with that stuff. They really do struggle, and when what they write makes very little sense. Um, the kids today, the young adults today, when you read what they write, their spelling is horrific. Grammar is even worse. Um, they, um, I mean, it's incredible to me that this is being allowed to pass in school. Um, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And the thing of it is, you can even read it on these news websites, like the local news websites. When you read and well, there is really no story because it's only like usually 3 sentences long on the news story. I mean, they don't really tell you nothing. Um, I don't even know why they even really put it up there anymore. Um, but when you're sitting there, you'll pull up, you'll see the headline of something, and usually the headline is another thing that's written in such a horrific way. Um, and then you go into the story, and you're like, what am I reading? Because it makes no sense whatsoever. And so, I mean, the grammar is horrible. The way they just stop the writing, just leave it off. It's just you're like, well, where's the ending on this? What happened? Um, because I took journalism when I was in grade school, and I wrote for this school paper back then, and it was always who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those were the things you had to cover when you wrote an article. And you had to always get both sides of the story. You always had to get both sides of the story. And you had to write equal amounts of paragraphs, whatever, on those both sides, because you had to let the reader decide what actually happened. And you reported on the facts. You didn't inject your opinion. You didn't inject anything. You just wrote what that person said happened. They may have be lying to your face. They may be, but that's what the story was. And so, that's how journalism was back then. Yeah, they may be lying, but unless you had a way of knowing ahead of time that they lied, where you could confront them on that, that there was really no way to prove or disprove that they were lying. Sometimes you could, sometimes you couldn't, but that's journalism was that. You had to dig into what happened and tell both sides of the story of what happened, because it was up to the reader to decide what they felt was right or what actually happened. It wasn't up to the journalist to skew or push one side or the other like they do now. I mean, you go on to these libtard networks like CNN and NBC and CBS and NBC and ABC and NPR and PBS and oh my God, all it is spewing the same stupid talking points. The same thing, word for word. I mean, there's no originality whatsoever in what they're saying. It's all word for word. I swear somebody at the Democratic National Committee writes this stuff up and hands it out at the beginning of the day and says, "This is your story for the day. Have fun. See you tomorrow." It's just how, that's just how it seems. Am I wrong? Probably. But that's how it seems. Because there's no way that all of these organizations, all of them, can come back and say the same thing, word for word, all day long. They start the day with it. How is that possible? Come on, people. And then you have the leftists the libtards that are just sucking this stuff in like they're going, yeah, I believe it. Yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah. Oh yeah, wow, yeah. And they repeat it word for word too. And going out there, and you see them on Facebook making their comments to the conservative people that are writing, or on Instagram, or whatever, Truth Social, YouTube, whatever media, social media outlet out there, and they're making their comments. Oh yeah, this is Trump's an idiot. He's ruining the country. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. Are you freaking kidding me? How can you be so stupid? But yet and still, you're going to turn around and say, I'm the stupid one. Oh well, you're a Trumpster. You're just following what he says, and all you do is repeat what he says, and you sit there and take everything he says for gospel, and blah 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 blah. And guess what? No, I don't. Nope. Nope. Every day when I get up in the morning, first thing I do, I go get myself a cup of coffee. I come up to this office and sit in this chair, turn on my computer, and I sit down. And the first website I look at is CNN. And I go and see what they have to say about, how bad the Palestinians have it in Gaza, and that they are just so oppressed by the Jews, and all that, and Netanyahu, and blah blah blah, and that they need to, they're just trying to establish their own state. Well, guess what? The Jews gave them that place where they live. It was a nice place that the Jews gave them. And then Hamas took over and turned it into the shithole that it is. And then you got the Palestinians that live there that support it. They support Hamas. Yeah, you have a few that don't support Hamas, but it's a few. People, you have to know the entire story. And there's so many of you that just don't either take the time, or I don't know uh, what else to say about it because it's a sad thing. It really is. You need to really spend some time and look at what these dingleberries on the left are saying and then read what's going on the right, and then you can make your choice and make your informed decision from there. That's what I do. I literally make notes every day of what's going on. And then I go, okay, who's saying what's making sense, what's not making sense. And a lot of that, yes, is because of that investigative nature from being a cop. You question everything. And I mean, you question everything. So I I don't trust. I don't put trust in it. And that's another thing that comes from being a cop. You don't trust anybody. You don't trust anybody. You don't trust anything. You literally have to you just have to question it all until it fits in its place. And that's what you have to do with all this junk that's happening with the politics in this nation. You have to do it with everything that's happening with every country in this world because they are all crooked. Last week, when President Trump held up that little board that showed how the difference in the tariffs were between what the United States was paying these other nations versus what these other nations were charging the United States. And the difference was staggering. And all he is doing is trying to make it even, trying to make it to the point where we're not paying so much more than what these other nations are. What is so wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing is wrong with that. It is perfectly acceptable to do that. And these people that are out here protesting about these tariffs, they have absolutely zero clue on what tariffs are supposed to do and what their purpose actually is. I learned what tariffs were in school. and how it affects trade. That's another thing about how our educational system has failed us. People, you need to know about this stuff. This is not, this is just as, this is life 101. You need to know how things operate. And if you don't know, don't comment on it. Don't sit there and say, oh, you got to keep your hands off because you don't know what you're talking about. How can you comment on something like tariffs when you don't even know what you're talking about? I saw video clips of people asking these protesters what they were there for. What were they protesting about? And they couldn't answer the question. So why were they there? But they were paid to be there. Somebody was paying them to be there. They were paid $100 to be there. And if they brought a sign, they were getting $10 more. And if they did something else, they were getting a little extra more on that. Who's paying for this? Which libtard organizations are paying for this? And it's so funny because there are so many organizations that are out there, and they fall under all these different names, and they're basically fronts for all this stuff. I mean, it is such corruption, it's not even funny. They have all these different names, and all they do is funnel all this money to get it out to have people to protest, to pay them to get out there and protest. And then of course, you'll have your stragglers that come in, but they're the majority of them that are there are out there and are paid to do it and to stir the pot to get these others out there, and then to get it really going, and it, to have it just get it really crazy if they need to. It's nuts. There is absolutely no reason for this junk. Oh, yeah. And let me ask you a question about this. We had 4 years of a president that was in such cognitive decline, that clearly had no idea what was going on, had no idea. I mean, couldn't speak. Um, The worst part about it, it was truly sad. It was truly sad because my father suffered from vascular dementia. And I watched his mental decline, and that's horrible. That's just it's such a horrible um, thing to witness. And because of me already have seen my father go through that, to watch a sitting president go through that and absolutely nothing being done about it except a whole bunch of lies and cover up going on behind the scenes. I was extremely angry that they were doing what they were doing. Not surprised that they were doing it because the Democrats, I, I, I will always, always firmly believe that that party and those people are evil to the core. Because they will lie, they will cheat, they will just do anything, and I do mean anything, to grab, hold, steal, whatever it takes to have power. And they want so badly to run your life, to have control over you. They don't believe in freedom. They claim they believe in democracy. They don't believe in democracy. That's the last thing they believe in. The democracy they believe in is a one party ticket, and you vote for them all the way down. Nobody else, because nobody can oppose them. That's the democracy they believe in. But they are evil. It's okay to kill a baby in a womb of a mother, but it's not okay to kill a person that murdered 2 to 15 people and they're on death row for it. How is that cruel and unusual punishment? Explain that to me and make it make sense. How is it not cruel and unusual punishment to kill that baby in mom's womb? And how is it that it's my body, my choice when it comes to that pregnancy and having that abortion or not? But it's not my body, my choice when it comes to having to take a forced vaccine that's not even proven. Make that one make sense to me too. There is so much hypocrisy with the Democrats, or as my one friend likes to call them, the Dixiecrats. I there's just too much of it, way too much of it, and that's why I call them evil. There's just no other word for it. They are just totally evil. They want to sit there and say that they're the party of civil rights, and they believe in freedom of all, making sure everybody is uh, got their civil rights and free, and like the LGBTQ, whatever, however many letters you want to put after that, and the blacks and the Latinos and the Asians and blah, 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 blah. And they're the worst offenders. They don't believe in their rights. Every time you turn around, they are the ones that are sitting there just bringing up race all the time. All the time. I have no problem being around blacks, Latinos, Asians, whoever. I have no problem being around them because to me, it's the character of that person. I look at the character of that person. I could care less about their skin color. If that person's character is good and they believe in good and doing good, hey, you're my kind of people. But if you want to be on the other side and destroying crap, rioting, demonstrating, quote unquote, and you're not. Because I don't put up with that crap. And all these, the other thing I am tired of is these libtard judges that have taken on a mission on in the bench to make these rulings that are to benefit the cause that they're fighting for, rather than following the law. And when, for example, there's a judge in Franklin County, Ohio, that took away the ability of the police to control riots. They're not allowed to use their pepper spray. They're not allowed to use what they call knee knockers. They're not allowed to use rubber pellets. They're not allowed to use any of that kind of stuff to control riots. What are they supposed to do? That's everything they're trained to do to control a riot. It's all because, well, you just might hurt somebody. Well, duh. They're there participating in the riot. It's not the police's fault that they're there participating in the riot. It's their own damn fault. If they want to participate in the riot, hey, you're told, you're warned, you're everything. Get out of there and go home. And if you don't, hey, the consequences are coming and they're not going to be good. That's the way it's been for, forever. But you want to take part and you want to do it anyway. And now, hey, they can go ahead and destroy stores. They can go ahead and break in and just take whatever they want. Blah, blah, blah. Do it with no consequences. How can we live in a world like that? How? And how can a judge make a ruling like that and it not be challenged or somebody come in and say, wait a minute, no? These judges have way too much power. They've figured it out. Figured that, hey, I can do whatever the hell I want. Nobody can do anything about it. Especially these federal judges, because they're appointed for life. They're not elected. And who oversees them? Nobody. You do, the next step is, you need to take it to the appeals court. You really think the appeals court's going to overrule a friend? No. not going to happen unless it's something so egregious or outrageous. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. Lawyers stick together. That's why they have control. They control everything. They've made it to, I mean, it's just so crazy insane how bad everything is, and it's all due to them. All due to them. How they've just taken this and that and everything and made this rule, that law, this whatever. They have absolutely destroyed this nation. And there was a warning about that very thing happening back when the Constitution was written. And it was in the Federalist Papers about that. And unfortunately, there was nothing put into the Constitution to eliminate that from actually happening. And that's the sad part. But here we are. And now we have a mess. And a real difficult time in trying to figure out a way to get out of it. But somehow we will. And there are solutions out there. And we will talk about those solutions. And you will find how easy they are. Just takes us to put them in place. And with that, I will sign off for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Real Thoughts with Bob Benham. And again, I am Bob Benham. I'm glad you tuned in to watch. I hope and pray that there is something that came out of this that made sense. I always try to do that. Like I said, everything that I say comes straight from the head and the heart. There's no script. I know I showed you my notepad. If you noticed, I didn't look down at it because I don't. It's just there for me to kind of jot down the things that are going on at the present time, and that's it. And with that, I want to wish everybody a good week or however long between now and my next episode. And I hope that everything goes well. And so God bless you all. God bless the United States of America. And we will see you soon. And everybody, please take care of yourselves. And we will talk soon. Bye-bye.